What's going on, guys? It is the dead ass middle of the night right now. It is 2:02 a.m. When I call these things midnight podcasts, I am not fucking joking. It's the middle of the goddamn night, and I am just sitting here having a drink, drinking some Costco box wine. Definitely not the prettiest tasting wine I've ever had, but it does have a kick to it. It gets the job done. Yeah, so it has been a while since I have talked to you all directly like this. As you know, I have been doing some shit. And I've gone down a deep rabbit hole, and it has been nothing short of fucking fascinating. So, if you need a podcast to listen to, you can put this on while you're doing your work, or you're falling asleep, or if you just want to listen to my lovely voice. I'm going to tell you the story of me becoming a weeb again and the inception of our friend Tonkatsu Sinclair. But first, if you don't understand vtubing at all, and I'm sure there's some people, because fucking I didn't know what it was until very recently. So yeah, if you don't get how it works, I'll just summarize the basic concept for you. Tonkatsu is a 3D model, but she's also a VTube rig. So she's not being traditionally animated. I've got a face tracking camera, I've got a hand tracker, and I've got software that allows me to move her. All the movements, including the facial expressions, are motion capture. They're me moving my face and body. You know, when I blink, she blinks. When I look surprised, she looks surprised. And her mouth lip syncs with my voice. Or at least it tries. Lip syncing in the VTube community is all janky. Nobody has good lip syncing, even like the most popular VTubers. But you know, nobody gives a shit. It's just one of those realities that you have to accept if you want to get into that. But yeah, the same is true of MC. I move him in exactly the same way. They're both VTube rigs. So if I want to make a video with one or both of these characters, I don't have to do any animation at all. I can just turn on my camera, fire up my tracking software, hit record in OBS, and just start talking and moving. And that's how I perform the characters. I'm sure most of you are going like, yeah, we know what a fucking VTuber is, but I'm sure there's someone out there who doesn't know. So I just, thought I'd explain it. Have another little sip there. All right, so moving on. If you listened to my last podcast, you might remember how I was talking about identity and how I don't think it's a good idea to wrap your self-image up in your hobbies. And I was really obsessed with that idea for a while. That whole time I was gone between the old channel and this one, I gave up all my hobbies except making music. But that's like a creative hobby. I'm talking about consumption related hobbies. There's no cartoons, no anime, no figure collecting, no horror movie binges. I'm a big horror movie fan, if you didn't know, but I gave that up too. I was like, I need to strip away all these extraneous things and try to figure out who I really am underneath, or some bullshit like that. And it turns out that who I really was fucking bored. I was afraid of getting too wrapped up in my hobby, so I went to the opposite extreme, which is just as dumb. Yeah, it's not a good idea to base your identity on your interests necessarily, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have any interests, because it gets really boring. You don't have anything to do. So, recently I started watching some of the Chinese cartoons again, and that kind of reawakened that inner weeaboo in me, And that's why I did those Watamote videos. And when I did those videos, I really enjoyed it. I love doing character analysis. I love characters. I'm not a plot guy. I don't give a shit about big, intricate, well-constructed plots. Like, I respect a person who can write that kind of plot, because I love to write and I know how hard it is to do. However, when it comes to the kind of stories I enjoy recreationally, I couldn't care less. I only care about plot insofar as it facilitates character development, because that's what I really value in a story, is complex characters. And that's why I love Watamote so much. It's a pure character piece. The only story is just Tomoko being Tomoko. It's just a portrait of this individual at this strange time in her life. But yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I can't start talking about Watamote because I'm getting off on a tangent, and I could easily talk about that show for another hour. Anyway, I really like doing that series, but it still felt like there was something missing. And that's the problem, that's been the problem with this channel. Ever since I started this channel, it's been fun. I've had a great time, but it's always felt like there was something missing. I was enjoying making the videos, but it never quite felt like I was producing the type of content I wanted to. It was lacking a certain intangible element that I couldn't quite put my finger on. But that's all preamble, so enough of that. But where it gets interesting is a couple months ago. So a couple months ago, a friend of mine had linked me to a song by Calliope Mori. If you don't know who Calliope Mori is, she's a popular VTuber, like one of the most popular. And at the time, I was like, hey, this is a cool song. She is a good lyricist. She has a nice voice. This is going on my jerking off playlist. I listened to some of her old music when she was Demon Dice, which is really it's better. I think it's better. Or at least some of it's better. She's really fucking good. She's got swagger. She really does. So I enjoyed that content, but I didn't really know what I'd found until I started checking out her streams. And now here's the thing. I had no idea what a fucking VTuber was. Absolutely no idea. The concept was completely foreign to me. So I was like, holy shit. It's like a real live anime girl playing video games and doing karaoke and talking to people. And I thought it was an awesome concept. And I was, in my head, I was like, man, I really wish I could do something like this, but it looks fucking impossible. I'm not the most technologically savvy guy. Most of the time, I just know what I need to know to get the job done, whether it's, video or music or whatever. So yeah, the idea of a motion capture avatar seemed fucking crazy to me. So the next key element of this story is about a month and a half ago, some shit went down in my personal life. I was in a relationship and it ended. It was not a good time for Uncle Unit. I was a sad boy. And so I said to myself, listen, dude, this time, how about instead of sinking into an alcoholic depression, why don't you do something constructive with all this free time that you have now? And I ruminated on that, and then I thought, why not both? And I know someone's going to leave a comment saying, oh my God, I can't believe you started drinking again. And to that, all I can say is no, I did not start drinking again because I never stopped. I don't know how it came about, but there's this myth going around that I got sober at some point. I stopped smoking cigarettes and I did kick my opiate addiction. Those are both things I've talked about, and I'm still clean on both of those counts. Haven't had a cigarette since June, I believe. And the opiate addiction, it's been a couple years since I fucked around with any of that. So I'm good on those fronts, but I've been drinking and smoking pot the whole time. I never got rid of that, nor did I ever claim to. There was a time in 2019 that I did stop drinking for a few months, but that was over 2 years ago. So I don't know why people think I'm sober now. I think people just listened to that podcast I put up on the old channel and just kind of took some things I said and maybe drew some conclusions that weren't factually accurate. Anyway, sorry, another tangent. Yeah, so I suddenly had basically nothing going on in my life, and I cast aside all my doubts and all those voices in my head that said, no, you can't do it. And I went balls deep into this VTube technology, and it has been one of the most fascinating experiences of my life. It was like a crash course because I went from knowing nothing about it. Like not even knowing what a VTuber was to doing it in like 3 weeks. And if you're someone who's thinking about trying this shit out, but you're like, oh man, it's probably too hard. Trust me, it's not nearly as hard as it looks. There is a learning curve, to be sure, but it's not as bad as you think. Don't give up before you start. If I can fucking figure this shit out, so can you. You just need a little tenacity and a little patience. Yeah, so a lot of people have asked me who made Tonkatsu's model, and the answer is I did, in a program called Vroid Studio. And thank God Vroid exists. That program is a fucking godsend. Anyone who watches any VTubers knows what Vroid is, because half the VTubers in existence have Vroid models. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a 3D program designed specifically for making anime waifus. If you want to make a VTuber rig and you don't want to go the 2D route, Vroid's the way to go. The only hard part is the hair. Designing the hair and getting it to fall and move correctly, especially if your character's got long hair, and Tonkatsu's got like really long ass hair. That was a pain in the ass. Other than that, it's pretty fucking easy. The only place it gets complicated is if you want accessories, like, for example, Tonkatsu's hat and glasses, or the fucking, the fucking cucumbers, the fucking the fucking pickles. Yeah, that kind of shit you can't do in Vroid. You need programs like Blender or Unity, depending on what you're trying to do. So yeah, I just spent like 2 weeks doing nothing but watching tutorials and instructional videos and combing through forum threads to learn how to do all the exact little things I wanted to do for this model. Honestly, it felt like I was back in college. It felt like I was back in college, but I actually really gave a shit about what I was learning. Yeah, it's fucking amazing how much information you can absorb in a short amount of time when 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 you don't have a girlfriend anymore and you have nothing else to live for. No, but really, what I was going to say is it's amazing how much information you can absorb when you're passionate about something, and how quickly you can progress when you really want to. So once I had the model made, or the models, because, I made Tonkatsu and then I made MC shortly thereafter. By the way, if anyone's wondering about MC, several people have said he looks exactly like Kirito. That's because when I designed him, I literally just pulled up a picture of Kirito and just tried to make him as close to Kirito as possible. And at the time, I hadn't even seen Sword Art Online. I was just doing it as a meme. Now I'm actually watching the show, so the whole thing's even more hilarious. So yeah, once I had the models made, I had to learn how to actually do the motion capture, which was very interesting. Because that's where, well, first of all, that's where I had to actually drop some cash into this. It's crazy, but all the software that people use for this shit, almost all of it's free. Vroid Studio's free, Unity's free, Blender's free. The only thing I actually had to spend money on for this whole thing was I had to get a webcam with good face tracking, and I had to get a device to track my hand motions. I had to be able to do the hand tracking. Not everybody does it, but I need it because when I speak, I am a violent hand gesturer. You can see it the way Tonkatsu's hands are always moving with the rhythm of her speech. That's not just something that I do when I'm playing the character. I just do that when I talk. And by the way, she is just that. She's a character. I hope we're clear on that. Some people have been asking me about, like, what are your pronouns? And are you a woman now? No, just stop it. Look, if you're one of the pronoun people, more power to you. You do you. But, a man can voice a female character without it being some kind of sexuality thing. I just think the idea of an anime girl with a man voice is funny. And, it's been done. Fucking the Venture Brothers guy, he's been doing that forever. So it took a while to get all the hand tracking calibrated and to tweak Tonkatsu's model and her facial expressions. If you're thinking about trying VTubing, listen to me. I'm not an expert by any means, but I can tell you one thing. The most important part is the fucking face. Remember, I've talked about this before. That's how we identify each other as people. That's the part of the body your brain is programmed to pay attention to. And, other than tits and ass. But the face, that's a thing that causes something to register as a person. If you want your model to have personality, you need as much emotional range in the facial expressions as possible. And with these models, there's tons you can do with the face. It's not as complicated as a real human face, obviously, but you can get really cool looking, entertaining facial expressions that give your model a lot of personality. The problem is people don't take advantage of that shit, or at least a lot of them don't. I see so many VTube models that are beautifully designed with all these incredible accessories and lovely texture work, and some of them even have really attractive faces, but then the expression is just like this vacant 1,000-yard stare all the time. And it ends up feeling like, yeah, I'm just looking at a 3D model, not a character. This isn't something I can believe is a person. So yeah, I spent a lot of time refining Tonkatsu's facial expressions and making them look fun and cartoonish and exaggerated, without breaking the model's face, because you can break the face if you torque it too much. Your fucking teeth start coming out the bottom of your jaw and shit. And then I spent a lot of time teaching the software which of my facial expressions correspond to which of hers. I use VC Face for the motion capture, but I've also fucked around with Luppet. There's others as well. I want to learn all of them, eventually see which software fits which purposes best. I've still got so much to learn about this stuff. Like, shit, if anyone else out there does VTube stuff and there's something new you can teach me, fucking hit me up, man. I'm willing to learn anything. Like, I'm fascinated by this stuff. Anyway, that's how Tonkatsu was born, or at least that's how her physical body was created. I had an idea for a while, for this character that's a cute anime girl who's a complete degenerate and has a man voice. But a lot of her personality began to take shape as I was designing her, and also through conversations with my two good friends, Fat Man Falling and Dashi Lee. Shouts out to those guys. I like doing stupid voices and accents and stuff, so I would do the voice in calls, and I kind of started to refine it that way. Just to answer the biggest question, surprisingly, no. She is not based on Dr. Girlfriend from Venture Brothers. I am aware of the character, especially now since I get like 20 comments on every video saying that Tonkatsu reminds people of her. And after hearing what Dr. Girlfriend sounds like, I can definitely see why the comparison is being made. But I've never seen that show other than little snippets of it here and there back in the Adult Swim days on Cartoon Network. If anybody remembers that. Is that still a thing, Adult Swim? Is there still a Cartoon Network? Like, okay, hold on. Is television even still a thing? Can you still get a cable subscription? Like, I haven't owned a television in a decade. I have no idea if that shit even exists anymore. Or, like, do people just buy TVs now and, like, watch Netflix and Hulu or whatever? Anyway, Tonkatsu's voice and personality is this sort of Frankenstein's monster of all the comedians I love, both stand-ups and on YouTube. There's a lot of Joey Diaz in there. I don't find his stand-up to be particularly funny, but when that guy's just sitting around talking on podcasts and shit, he's really entertaining. He's got great energy, great stories, and just this really great voice. There's also a lot of Bill Burr in there. I love Bill Burr, and there's even a little bit of like Andrew Dice Clay, I guess. When it comes to YouTubers, I take a lot of inspiration from Mumkey Jones and Filthy Frank. Mumkey Jones, man, I love that guy. He is a brilliant, creative mind, and he should have been the next big, edgy comedy dude on YouTube because he really had the chops for it. But he got fucked. He got yeeted like over and over again. YouTube deleted that guy's channel 3 times in a row. He had to restart his channel 3 times, and he did it every time, and he crushed it. And, just when YouTube finally decided to leave him alone, people got like all involved in his personal life, and a lot of his audience turned on him, and because he cheated on his girlfriend. Well, that was the reason. And I never understood that kind of shit, man. It's weird to me. Like, if someone's doing something illegal, then definitely I understand their audience turning on them. But something like that, something like cheating, I mean, yeah, that's bad because, you can break someone's heart. Absolutely. But at the same time, in my eyes, that's between the two people in the relationship to sort out. It's not our business as an audience. When people get too involved in the personal lives of content creators, that's really fucking weird to me. Anyway, I just went on a fucking tangent about Monkey Jones. But the point is, he's a huge influence on the Tonkatsu videos, his anime reviews especially. I highly recommend those videos, the Mumkey's Anime Review series. He also had a podcast called The Insufferable Social Media Argument Podcast. It's my favorite podcast ever that anyone's ever done. It's hard to find all of it on YouTube. It's hard to find his stuff because his channel's been deleted so many times. But most of it's archived, like uploaded by other channels. And there is actually a complete Monkey Jones archive elsewhere on the internet if you really want to dive deep into his stuff. It's easy to find. Just Google Monkey Jones archive. Yeah. So also obviously there's a lot of me in Tonkatsu, and I don't mean that in a sexual way. I didn't just want to make an avatar to talk with. I wanted to use this VTube technology to make a character. Or characters, multiple characters, because that's my favorite way to work, is when I have characters to play with and bounce off of each other. That was the thing I was referring to earlier. That was what was always missing from this channel. Back in the old channel, when I was doing TLR, I had characters to work with, and that was the most fun part of it for me. Obviously they were characters that already existed, but I got to create my own weird alternate personalities for them. And now, not only do I have characters, but they're my own original characters. I've got some OCs. That is what I've always wanted, is to be able to make content with my own original characters, but I could never do it because the only way I could think of to do that was through animation, which is prohibitively time consuming. Forget it. Now, with this shit, the animation's all motion capture, so all I have to do is turn on my camera and record. I don't have to do any traditional animation at all. It's so fucking cool, and I love it. I am having more fun with this than I've ever had on YouTube. Totally Legit was never this fun, even at its best, way back in the early days, before I ruined it for myself. It was never this fun. I have so much more control and creative input with Tonkatsu, and like stuff like the silly little conversations between her and MC. I love doing that shit. I love having two characters with very different personalities and just bouncing them off of each other. So this is mostly what I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future. And I'm still going to do other videos, like this podcast right here when I feel like it. But this is my focus right now. And I get that it's a slight change in content style and subject matter, and not everyone's going to like it. I'm kind of going for a slightly different target audience. And I recognize that not all of you guys are in that demographic. Not all of you are fucking weeaboos. So if you gotta unsub, I completely understand. Man, yeah, much love, peace out, go do your thing. I'm not just a YouTuber. I'm also an avid YouTube user, so I have been on both ends of this. However, that being said, don't be a drama queen. I've only gotten a few of these, but you know what I'm talking about. Even if you don't have a YouTube channel, you've seen those type of comments. And they go a little something like, I'm sorry, but if this is the type of content you're making now, I'm afraid I have to unsubscribe. I expected more from you, and I'm so disappointed, and blah, 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 blah. I'm just a YouTube channel, dude. Just click unsubscribe. We're not dating. We're not breaking up. Don't turn clicking a button into a soap opera. I had some fucking creep the other day just try to pull all this armchair psychology shit on me, like he was saying, you used to just be yourself. Now you're hiding behind a character. This is clearly a step back for you emotionally. Just big long paragraphs of that kind of pseudo intellectual I took a psych 101 class bullshit. All right. If you're listening, guy who said that, I'm going to give you some very important advice. And I already said this to you, but you seemed to brush it off at the time. So I hope you listen this time. Nobody likes that shit. Nobody. Not a soul. Not a single person you meet in this life will respond positively to that armchair psychology bullshit. Especially when it's someone you've never even spoken to before. You don't know me at all. And you don't understand the difference between a real relationship and a parasocial relationship. Learn the difference. Don't do that shit. It's creepy and obnoxious, and you will annoy everyone you speak to as long as you keep acting that way. I give you my personal guarantee on that. Anyway, enough complaining. I'm kind of shifting gears here. This is what I'm enjoying doing right now. So I'm pursuing it however far it'll go, because the whole point of YouTube is to have fun. And, if you don't like anime, but you like me, give the Tonkatsu videos a chance. I used to hate anime. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that publicly. Yeah, I used to hate anime. I've got to make a video about that eventually, because it's one of those situations where my opinion on something has just been completely turned around in a very short period of time. And yeah, that'll definitely be a video of just me talking as me, because it's a very personal story. It's not something I can do with characters. But yeah, I used to hate anime. Then I gave it a second chance, and now I love it. And even if you're like, fuck that, a lot of the Tonkatsu videos are barely even about anime. They're mostly just, her being a fucking dumbass. It's the same type of shit I've always done, just in a slightly different format. Oh, speaking of that, I want your guys' input on something. And I'm not trying to do some retarded YouTuber move where I'm like, leave a comment with your thoughts on blah, blah, blah. And they don't read a single one of the fucking comments. They just want the algorithmic boost from the interactions. I'm actually asking you this because it concerns you directly. For the past couple videos, I've been doing this segment at the beginning where Tonkatsu responds to comments. And I love doing that segment. It's a lot of fun. It gives me a lot of opportunities to just dick around. But my good friend, Dashi Lee, friend of the show, brought up the fact that I censor out the name and profile picture of the person and I just have the comment. And she was like, you shouldn't do that because people want to see their names up there. Now, my philosophy on that type of shit has always been like, maybe some do, but maybe some don't. And I don't know who wants what, and I don't want to unintentionally blow out anyone who doesn't want that kind of attention. Especially because, I kind of rag on people, Tonkatsu kind of rags on people a little sometimes, and I don't know if they want their name and profile picture up there while she's shitting on them. So I ask you, should I keep it anonymous like I've been doing, or do you guys want to see your names up there? Because if that would make it more fun for you, then that's what I want to do. Because, I want this to be fun for everybody. I want to interact, community interaction. That's what they tell you to do in those fucking YouTube infographics. I hate those fucking things. It's like psychological manipulation 101. They're so gross. You guys should Google those things, like those YouTube infographics on how to build a community. It's fucking disgusting. It's just blatantly saying, yeah, just manipulate your viewers and lie to them. And I hate that shit. But in this case, I'm being real about this. This directly concerns our interactions here. Tell me your thoughts on that. Should I leave it anonymous or should I put the names up there? I'll actually read the comments and I will base my decision on the feedback I receive. Anyway, I think that's it for tonight, but I'm around. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. I read them all to the best of my abilities, or hit me up on Twitter. DMs are open, so you can just slide right in there. The next part of this SAO clusterfuck will be coming out next week, and then there's gonna have to be a third part and maybe even a fourth part. I don't know. The show is really fucking long. Like, you don't realize how long 96 episodes is until you have to watch 96 episodes of Kirito. But I gotta do the whole thing. I got some other crazy shit planned after that. I got so much I want to do. I've got so many new tools at my disposal with all this new technology that I've gotten to know over the past few weeks, and I'm just having so much fun with it, man. Like, this is the most fun I've had in a long time. So yeah, I hope you stick around and have fun with me. Peace.